My concubine, born younger sister, and the Marquis of Genbei are deeply in love as husband and wife. For her sake, the Marquis won't even eat female chickens, ducks, fish, or any meat. Every time my elder brother sees my concubine, born younger sister, he can't help but sigh, wishing Ninglan were his biological sister. Everyone loves her. No one remembers that the Marquis of Genbei was once my fiancé. He clearly didn't like me. Yet he personally requested the imperial marriage decree, then schemed to catch me in a secret rendezvous with someone, all just to turn the concubine, born sister, into the legitimate daughter, when my chastity was ruined, and I ended my life with a white silk sash. They were having a grand wedding procession, the envy of all. Afterward, my elder brother knew the truth, but concealed it, only sighing that I had no fortune and couldn't compare to Ninglan. Rebirth on the day of the marriage decree. This time, no one will get what they want. By the mandate of heaven, the emperor decrees, the legitimate daughter of the Jiang family is gentle and virtuous, elegant and graceful. She is hereby bestowed in marriage to the Marquis of Genbei. Mother joyfully presented a generous money pouch and sent off the eunuch who had delivered the decree. My daughter will be a marquis's wife from now on. The imperial decree didn't include my name, because I was the only legitimate daughter of the Jiang family. Everyone assumed this marriage decree was meant for me. I stiffly tugged at the corner of my lips. She didn't notice. At this moment, she was the only one happy about this marriage. Elder brother said with a stern face, "Mother, Ning Shui has an unruly temperament. You should properly discipline her before the marriage, lest she bring shame after marrying out." If only it were Ninglan. Perhaps only I understood the words he left unsaid. He wanted to say it would be better if the imperial marriage decree was for Ninglan. He was clearly my full-blooded elder brother, yet he preferred the quiet and timid Ninglan. Ninglan would shyly call him brother, and sensibly sew pouches and shoes for him. As for me, I only knew how to eat, drink, and have fun. I looked at Ninglan beside me. She was the youngest girl in the family. Although she was a concubine's daughter, she had been raised by the old madam since childhood, so her food, clothing, and expenses were never lacking. Today she wore a light-colored silk dress with subtle brocade patterns, understated yet luxurious, making her look exceptionally lovely. It is just that she had always been so timid before that I never noticed her. At this moment, there was no joy on her face either. Well, of course, she had long been secretly involved with the Marquis of Genbei, and now everyone was congratulating me instead. Naturally, she wasn't happy. I sat before the mirror, touching my neck. It was fair as jade here, without the terrifying bruises from my previous life. In my previous life, it was also today, when the Marquis of Genbei went to request the imperial marriage decree, without ever asking me. At that time, I already had someone I liked. Song Yurong, but I knew the imperial decree couldn't be defied, and I couldn't bring disaster upon my whole family for my own sake. So I put away all my feelings, preparing to be a proper Marchioness of Genbei. Just when I was cutting all ties with Song Yurong, I ran into the Marquis of Genbei, who was out with my brother. He flew into a rage on the spot, declaring that the Jiang family looked down on him. He was the emperor's confidant, the youngest marquis of this dynasty. The Jiang family couldn't afford to offend him. Father was so furious he nearly beat me to death. In the end, it was the old madam who made the decision. My reputation was ruined. The Marquis of Genbei wouldn't want to marry me, but he couldn't defy the imperial decree either. Register Ninglan as the legitimate daughter and marry her to the Marquis of Genbei. When the time comes, we'll give a more generous dowry, which can be considered compensation for Ninglan and the Marquis. As expected of the old madam, this family really can't do without you. Father said ingratiatingly. I didn't like Ninglan, but I still felt sorry for her. The trouble I caused made her clean up my mess, and I also dragged Song Yurong into it. Father cursed me, asking why I didn't just go die. Elder brother blamed me for being shameless. A white silk sash became my final resting place. After death, I didn't reincarnate but drifted around the Zhang residence. Ninglan shed a single tear because of my death. Second sister was really pitiful. The old madam held her and comforted her. Lanner is just too kind-hearted. Blame that girl Ning Shui for not knowing propriety, bullying you since childhood by always flaunting her legitimate birth. Yet now she did such a thing that disgraces our family's reputation. As for the Marquis of Zhenbei, he was actually willing to go this far for you. He can be considered a good man. Ninglan nodded shyly. He knows I was bullied for being concubine. Born, so now he has secured the status of legitimate daughter for me. But will mother be willing? The old madam smiled calmly. Her daughter did such a thing. Where would she get the face to object? Besides, when we went back to the ancestral home for worship last time, I already changed your status to legitimate daughter. Listening from the side, my heart was torn to pieces. What a loving pair of grandmother and granddaughter. So they knew all along what the Marquis of Zhenbei did. They always talked about sharing glory and disgrace together. Yet at the critical moment, they let outsiders ruin my reputation. When it is me and Song Yurong, it is called being improper. When it is her and the Marquis of Zhenbei, it is called deep affection. The Marquis of Zhenbei wanted to make Ninglan the legitimate daughter. But Ninglan had already become the legitimate daughter when no one knew. Why go through all this unnecessary trouble to scheme against me? Mother definitely wouldn't agree to this. Now that I am dead, mother and brother will surely investigate everything and won't let the Marquis of Zhenbei have his way. I floated toward mother's courtyard. Mother, Ning Shui is already dead. What matters most now is that the marriage alliance with the Marquis of Zhenbei cannot be broken. My brother's eyes held no trace of grief, as if the one who died was some insignificant stranger. He was earnestly persuading mother to give the dowry originally prepared for me to Ninglan, so Ninglan would have more confidence. Mother cried until her eyes were red and swollen, yet she still agreed under brother's persuasion. After all, the Marquis of Zhenbei held high position and great power, and could help advance brother's career in the future. My closest kin, nothing more than this. I numbly watched myself being hastily buried. Half a year later, the entire household joyfully sent Ninglan off to marry, with a magnificent dowry stretching 10 miles, the envy of all. Looking at the vibrant face in the mirror, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Miss, what is wrong with you? I tugged at the corners of my mouth. Nothing, I just thought of something amusing. Mother would pull me aside every day to tell me what dowry she had prepared for me. Today it was a pearl necklace from Zhenbao Pavilion. Tomorrow a brocade silk dress from Nicheng Pavilion. Unlike in my previous life when I was reluctant, I happily showed off my dowry every day. Elder brother frowned and scolded me. How can you be so shameless? Can't you learn some of Lanner's composure? Ninglan still smiled timidly. Sister being this lively is what is adorable. Surely the Marquise of Zhenbei likes sister just the way she is. Her eyes couldn't hide her anxiety. She was afraid I would really marry the Marquise of Zhenbei. That day I received a letter from Song Yurong. He said he wasn't worthy of me, asked me to forget this relationship, and only wanted to see me one last time to make a clean break. I burned the letter expressionlessly. In my previous life, when we met at Shangguo Temple, and were caught by the Marquis of Zhenbei and elder brother, even as I ended my life with a white silk sash, I still worried whether I would implicate him. Yet later, with the Marquis of Zhenbei's support, he climbed the ranks and made his fortune. Once when drunk, the Marquis said to him, "Brother, Zhang Ning Shui is dead. I owe you a wife, but don't worry. This brother will definitely make it up to you with another one." So it turned out he had colluded with the Marquis of Zhenbei long ago. That is how they could coincidentally catch us meeting in secret, all to bring our affair into the open, so that I, a legitimate daughter with a ruined reputation, would marry him, giving him leverage over me in the future. Although I died, under the Marquis of Zhenbei's manipulation, Song Yurong accidentally stumbled upon an official's legitimate daughter changing clothes, and the two had no choice but to become engaged. That legitimate daughter was gentle and virtuous, but after marriage she was tormented by Mother Song until she miscarried, and Song Yurong used this as an excuse to take dozens of beautiful concubines. On the day mentioned in the letter, I didn't go. Instead, I sat peacefully in my boudoir, placing the prepared fragrance into the sachet. My broken promise made Song Yurong anxious, and he sent another letter. Until the mountains lose their peaks and heaven and earth merge, only then would I dare to part from you. Ning Shui, I have no other wishes now. I only hope to see you one last time, to put my longing to rest. In this world, there are those foolish in love. This sorrow has nothing to do with the wind or moon. When I burned the 7th letter, the Marquis of Zhenbei could no longer sit still and personally invited me out. I still refused. There will be plenty of chances to meet after marriage. There aren't many days left for me to stay at home. I just want to spend time with my parents and fulfill my filial duties. The Marquis of Zhenbei couldn't refute such a reason. He naturally wanted to expose the matter between me and Song Yurong, but he couldn't make a big scene and damage the entire Jiang family's reputation, implicating his precious darling Ninglan. To make Ninglan receive everyone's guilt and compensation, while also making me obediently follow his plan. This matter could only be exposed by the Jiang family themselves. Father and mother wouldn't do it, and the old madam prided herself on being fair, so she wouldn't do such a thing openly either. Then there was only one person left. My elder brother took out hibiscus cakes from Zuixian Tower and placed them in front of me. Ning Shui, why haven't you been going out lately? I picked up a piece of hibiscus cake and took a bite. Hibiscus cakes are a famous pastry from Zuixian Tower. Only 20 portions are sold each day, and you have to queue for a long time to buy them. I never had this kind of treatment before. Elder brother has always said I am not composed enough, and might make a fool of myself after getting married. I think elder brother has a point, so I am taking this time to properly learn etiquette and temper my mind. In the blink of an eye, you are about to get married. Your elder brother has been reflecting lately. I was too harsh on you before. Ning Shui, don't worry. No matter what, your elder brother will always be someone you can rely on. After getting married, you won't be as free as you are at home. It would be good to go out and relax more during this time. Such thoughtful words. This was the first time I'd heard them in both my past life and this one. Seeing his face full of concern and reluctance, I couldn't help but recall the day Ninglan married the Marquis of Zhenbei in my past life. He was dead drunk, murmuring, "Lanner, Lanner, the Marquis of Zhenbei truly cares for you. He went through great lengths to secure the status of legitimate daughter for you. Ning Shui is dead too, so no one will ever compete with you for anything again. You'll be happy for the rest of your life." He knew the Marquis of Zhenbei had schemed against me, yet he still treated the Marquis as a friend. Me death wasn't worth mentioning in his eyes. He was even glad that my death only benefited Ninglan. I couldn't understand why he was so cold towards his own sister, until I saw the pain he couldn't hide in his eyes when he called out for Ninglan. I seemed to understand. What an absurd thing. He was still earnestly trying to persuade me. I lowered my eyes, pretending to know nothing. Since elder brother says so, I'll go out and clear my head. Elder brother, in my past life, all of you got what you wished for. This life, it is my turn. Although I didn't become smarter after my rebirth, and couldn't find a way out for myself. Fortunately, I've cut off everyone's escape routes. Behind Shangguo Temple, there was a peach blossom grove. It was March, and the peach blossoms were fluttering about, blooming beautifully. When I arrived, I saw Song Yurong standing under the tree, tall and graceful, the very picture of refined elegance. Who could have imagined that beneath such a gentlemanly facade hid such a filthy, despicable heart? Ning Shui, you've finally come. I stepped forward, and under his loving gaze, I gripped the hairpin and plunged it into his heart. In this world, all those who use a woman's chastity as a means to harm her deserve to die. I am here to send you off. On the road to the underworld, remember who killed you. Without waiting for him to say anything, I pushed him off the cliff. I had smeared Beast, luring powder on the hairpin. Perhaps he'd survive the fall, and then get to experience what it feels like to be eaten alive by wild beasts. I cleaned up all traces, then calmly admired the flowers under the tree. A quarter of an hour later, the Marquis of Genbei arrived here with my elder brother for a stroll. Seeing me alone, both of them were quite surprised. "Second Miss Jiang, why are you alone?" Marquis Genbei jests. "Who else would there be if not just me? Could I possibly be having a secret rendezvous with someone else?" I covered my mouth and giggled. "Not at all, not at all. It is just not safe for a young lady to come out alone. Second, Miss should find someone to accompany her." Marquis Genbei laughed heartily. You couldn't tell at all that such a general who fought on battlefields was actually so skilled in household scheming, with such despicable methods. We chatted for a while. Marquis Genbei kept looking around, but never saw the person he wanted to see. Song Yurong was already at the bottom of the cliff, perhaps being devoured by wild beasts right now. I watched the two of them with a smile, thinking about what was about to happen, my heart boiling with excitement. Meeting is fate. If the Marquis doesn't mind, would you care to have some tea together? Shangguo Temple had private courtyards specifically for high officials and nobles who came to burn incense to rest. With a composed expression, I gracefully brewed tea for them. The two of them, absent, mindedly drank it all in one gulp. "Please wait here for a moment. I also made peach blossom cakes for you two to taste." Looking at their faces that had already turned red, I thoughtfully closed the door for them. Who says only women care about chastity? I'd like to see if after something like this happens, they can still continue being good brothers. A quarter of an hour later, I heard the commotion inside from the doorway, grinned, then took a deep breath, and my scream echoed throughout Shangguo Temple. Ahaha. What is wrong? What is going on here? Did a thief break in? Passing pilgrims heard the commotion and gathered around. Hearing the faint sounds from inside the room, everyone knew what was going on. Beside me, the wife of Censor Chen recognized me. "Isn't this Miss Jiang who is inside?" I just covered my face and cried, unable to say a single word. Whoever it is, doing such things in Shangguo Temple deserves to die. Someone, break down the door. Inside the room was a nauseating smell. Everyone covered their noses as they entered, only to see a huge bed. It is the Marquis of Genbei and the eldest young master of the Jiang family. The Marquis of Genbei was a rising star at court, and my elder brother was known for his integrity. Many people recognized them. One is Miss Jiang's elder brother, the other is Miss Jiang's fiancé. We should go fetch Lord Jiang. The two on the bed also came to their senses. Seeing everything before him, the Marquis of Genbei looked at me with murderous eyes. Second Miss Jiang. What vicious scheming. I just covered my mouth and wept. You two, how shameless. And now you want to kill me to silence me. Everyone chimed in. Why must the Marquis of Genbei threaten a young girl like this? We all saw what happened today. Are you going to kill all of us too? Miss Jiang, you must try to take it easy. Amidst the chaos, Father and Mother hurried over and took us away. In the Jiang family's main hall, Father sat at the head seat with a gloomy expression, while Mother looked dazed, still unable to believe what she had seen. Her perfect, promising good eldest son had actually stolen her own younger sister's husband. Good heavens, what is all this? The Marquis of Genbei recounted what had happened. The second Miss Jiang is actually so vicious and ruthless, shameless, short-sighted, disregarding blood ties, using such despicable means to frame her own family, Truly contemptible and shameless, utterly hateful. My elder brother was even more grief stricken as a civil official. Now that such a thing had happened, how could he still have the face to stand in the imperial court? Ningshui, where exactly has your brother wronged you, that you would ruin my entire life? When father learned of this, he wanted nothing more than to kill me, and swung a slap at me. You wretched creature, I should have strangled you when you were born. I raised you with good food and drink all these years, and you actually want to ruin our Zhang family. As if I'd just stand there and take a beating, I tilted my head and dodged it. Mother cried out in anguish. What is all this for? How did such a good family end up like this? Of course it is because they schemed against me first. The one the Marquis of Zhenbei likes is Ninglan. He knew full well I already had someone I loved. Yet he deliberately asked to marry me, then worked with my brother to catch me in adultery and ruin my reputation. That way, the Zhang family would feel indebted to him, register Ninglan as a legitimate daughter, and marry her off to him with a grand dowry. My brother knew the truth perfectly well. But for Ninglan's sake, to build a good relationship with the Marquis of Zhenbei, not only did he not tell me, he repeatedly urged me to go out, just to give the Marquis a chance to catch me in adultery. Elder brother, am I not your sister? How do you have the face to question me? I had no grudge or grievance with them. Yet for their own selfish desires, they harmed me in the most vicious way a woman could be harmed. If it weren't for the Marquis of Zhenbei knowing martial arts, I would have pushed him off the cliff at Shangguo Temple long ago to keep Song Yurong company. The scene fell completely silent. The truth was too bizarre for everyone to accept. Mother asked elder brother in disbelief, "Is this true?" At this point, hiding it any longer was useless. Elder brother said in a deep voice, "Mother, I did this for Ning Shui's own good. Her temperament is unruly. She is not suited to marry into the Marquis's household." I clapped my hands. Well said, elder brother. Family should love and care for each other. Since elder brother was thinking of me, this is how I repay you. You've always wanted to build a good relationship with the Marquis of Zhenbei, but just marrying off a sister wasn't secure enough. Now that you have this kind of relationship with the Marquis of Zhenbei, he'll sincerely promote you. Elder brother's face turned ashen. With this relationship, the faction of upright civil officials would never accept him again. Over a decade of hard study destroyed overnight. Mother looked left and right, then let out a shriek and lunged at Ninglan, who had been too afraid to make a sound. "It is all because of you, you little hussy. If it weren't for you, how would my son's future be ruined?" Seeing Ninglan get slapped several times, the old madam could no longer sit still. "Stop it. What kind of behavior is all this commotion? What does this have to do with Lanner? It is Ning Shui who is indiscreet and had an affair with someone first, giving others the opportunity to take advantage." The old lady looked at me with disdain. "Ning Shui, not only do you refuse to repent, but you even schemed against your own brother. Don't you understand the principle that glory and disgrace are shared? If the Jiang family's reputation is ruined, what good end will you have?" I immediately smashed the teacup. "Old hag, stop playing dumb here. I haven't even gotten to you yet. The Jiang family isn't some marketplace. Father and mother didn't even know about this. So how did the Marquis of Zhenbei find out? Wasn't it your precious Lanner who spilled it? When she was spreading her own sister's shameful affairs, why didn't she think about glory and disgrace being shared? The Marquis of Zhenbei has a secret affair with her. Why don't you call her improper? The old lady who always has propriety on her lips. Weren't you covering for them all along? You are someone who fishes for fame and has no shame. Where do you get the nerve to talk about propriety?" The old lady was so angry she nearly fell backward. "You are spouting nonsense. Lanner isn't that kind of person. Stop slandering her here," I sneered coldly. Whether it was nonsense or not, a simple search would reveal everything. Two people deeply in love would surely have plenty of letters and tokens between them. The old lady and Ninglan's faces turned pale. but they didn't dare refute anymore. Father, upon hearing that his daughters one after another had secret affairs, and even the old lady was involved, wanted to scold someone but didn't know who to scold. The Marquis of Genbei gazed at Ninglan affectionately. Since things have come to this, I won't hide it anymore. The one I want to marry is indeed Ninglan. Anyway, the imperial edict has already been issued, and the marriage alliance between our two families is inevitable. Ninglan was so moved that her eyes reddened. Although Marquis Genbei had schemed against her sister and humiliated her beloved brother, he did it all for her. How could such deep affection not be moving? Father was so angry he nearly fell backward. If you really liked Ninglan, you could have just said so. Would I have disagreed now, after causing so much trouble? You still dare to mention marriage alliance. The old madam coughed once. I think Marquis Genbei is truly sincere toward Ninglan. What is done. We might as well let them be together. Although it ruined one grandson and one granddaughter, her most beloved was Ninglan. The others didn't matter. The Jiang family's reputation was clearly going to be ruined. If they didn't hold on to Marquis Genbei now, Ninglan wouldn't be able to find such a powerful family in the future. At this moment, the old madam couldn't care less about others saying she was biased. Father had always cared most about the Jiang family's prosperity. Now that the son he had placed high hopes on was ruined, he could only strengthen the Jiang family through marriage alliance. Now that Marquis Genbei felt guilty toward the Jiang family, holding this leverage over him, they weren't afraid he wouldn't look after the Jiang family. Seeing that father was swayed, mother immediately flew into a rage. Everyone in your Jiang family is heartless and cruel. My son and daughter are both ruined, and you want Ninglan to step on them to rise up. Dream on. I will never agree to register Ninglan as a legitimate daughter. If she wants to marry Marquis Genbei, she can go be a concubine. The old lady showed a confident smile. Last time when we went back to the old home for ancestral worship, I already registered Ninglan under your name, making her a legitimate daughter. If the Marquis of Genbei wants to marry her, none of you can stop it. Why not be generous and let them have their wish? As soon as these words came out, everyone's faces darkened. Father stepped forward and kicked Ninglan to the ground. If it weren't for filial piety restraining him, that kick would have landed on the old lady instead. The Marquis of Genbei wanted to make Ninglan a legitimate daughter before marrying her, and the old lady had already registered Ninglan as a legitimate daughter long ago. You two have been in contact, having an affair. If you had just communicated even a little, none of today's mess would have happened. Do you take everyone for fools? Yeah, something that could have ended happily for everyone, but they had to sacrifice others just to show how deep and devoted their love was. Happy now? Nobody gets to save face anymore. The whole family gets cursed at together. The old lady finally felt she was in the wrong and couldn't say anything for a long time. She always thought she was the wisest person in this family, with everything under control. She never expected that I could stir up so much trouble. Elder brother looked at everyone with hatred. At this moment, he felt all his devotion to Ninglan was just— but he didn't know yet. It wasn't time for him to cry. The next day, the censor impeached the Jiang family's eldest son, Jiang Rusu, for lacking moral cultivation, private misconduct, and contempt for imperial favor. Those affairs between men actually weren't a big deal. If word got out, it would just be another romantic scandal. The problem was, the other party was her future brother-in-law. What is more, this marriage was personally bestowed by the emperor. What Jiang Ruozhu did, to put it seriously, was treating the imperial decree as nothing, a crime punishable by beheading. Father pleaded desperately in the court, but royal dignity could not be violated. The emperor immediately stripped my brother of his scholarly title. He could never hold office again in this lifetime. The Marquis of Genbei was also harshly impeached by the censors. The emperor had been worried about the Marquis having too much power, and now, with a ready-made excuse, he took back his military authority and ordered him to stay home and reflect on his mistakes. When the news reached the Jiang family, Mother fainted on the spot, and Jiang Ruju wished he could strangle me to death. Jiang Ningshui, seeing me end up like this, "Are you satisfied now?" I grinned. "Why would brother say such things? Everything your little sister did was for your own good. When you talk about me like this, I really have no way to defend myself." Jiang Ruju's eyes rolled back, and he fainted too. The rumors in the capital grew more and more intense. Some swore they had long seen that Jiang Ruju was a hypocrite. I heard that the one the Marquis of Junbei likes is the Jiang family's illegitimate daughter. He fell for her at first sight and pulled this whole stunt just to openly ask for her hand in marriage. Fake news. Who would be that crazy? She is just a concubine's daughter. Why would marrying her require such hassle? Your news is all outdated. I heard from my 7th grand, uncle's niece's great, aunt's nephew's younger sister, that this Marquis of Junbei has long been making eyes at Jiang Ruoju. He is asking to marry the Jiang family's legitimate daughter, only because the sister looks like the brother. So it was a case of, she reminds me of you. At the same time, all the major bookstores in the capital were on fire. Things like My Brother Above, and I Help My Brother Remove His Battle Robe. A whole series of picture books were in short supply. I counted the shiny silver tails, grinning from ear to ear, and decided to stay up late to write a few more. The Jiang family's reputation hit rock bottom. The young ladies who had once intended to get engaged to my brother hurriedly settled on other marriage arrangements. The women folk of official families no longer sent invitation cards to the Jiang household. Father's hair had turned much whiter, and mother sighed all day long, refusing to see me anymore. She did love me, of course, but compared to Jiang Ruju, I wasn't that important. Everyone in the family wished I were dead, yet they didn't dare make a move at this time, fearing they'd give others another chance to laugh at us. And I didn't regret a single thing I'd done. Why is it that when I do something wrong, I get exposed and have to pay the price? But their schemes and plots can stay hidden forever. Rise together, fall together. I silently recited this phrase and laughed out loud. How true it was. A family should stick together through everything. Half a year later, Jiang Ninglan still married the Marquis of Junbei. After weathering many storms, the lovers finally became a couple. But this time, there was no longer the grandeur of my previous life. Very few people came to witness the ceremony, and the dowry was all shabby stuff, just there to make up the numbers. Before stepping out, Jiang Ninglan looked at me proudly. Between her brows and eyes, the timidity from before was nowhere to be seen. "Second sister, let me give you a piece of advice. Those who do evil will bring destruction upon themselves." I recalled my previous life, where she and the Marquis of Junbei were deeply in love after marriage. For her sake, the Marquis never spared another glance at other women, and even replaced all the servants around him with men. He even refused to eat female chickens, ducks, fish, or meat. Everyone in the capital envied how well she kept her husband under control. I glanced at her with a half smile. I was once ruined by the obsession with chastity, so naturally I wasn't willing to use the same methods against a woman now. But that didn't mean I would just let her off. "Dear little sister, your big sister has left you a grand gift. I hope you like it." 3 days after the wedding, when Ninglan returned home for the customary visit, she couldn't hide the exhaustion on her face. The Marquis of Junbei turned a blind eye, just drinking cup after cup. Not a single laugh could be heard throughout the entire banquet. Only I was eating heartily, savoring every bite. After the meal, the Marquis of Junbei and Jiang Ruoju went to the front courtyard. The old madam hurriedly comforted Ninglan. "Men in this world are mostly fickle. You must stay calm. Once you give birth to a legitimate heir, everything will be fine." When Ninglan heard the words, "legitimate heir," tears fell from her eyes. On their wedding night, the Marquis of Junbei had stormed off, and never entered her room again since. The old lady didn't understand what was going on and thought the Marquis of Junbei was taking his anger out on Ninglan because of being reprimanded by the emperor. So she taught her many ways to win a man's heart. Men all love beauty. Be a proper legal wife. Take in a few concubines for him, and over time, he'll naturally come to see your virtues. As long as no illegitimate sons are born, concubines are just lowly playthings that can't make any big waves. Ninglan nodded with tears in her eyes. But a month later, the Marquis of Genbei became even more debauched. He actually ignored a house full of women and went to a male brothel. Only then did Ninglan realize something was wrong, and immediately rushed to the Zhang family to make a scene. Zhang Ningshui, you ruined the Marquise. It was a rare opportunity that day. I didn't just use the drug that makes people dazed and aroused. I also slipped in the infertility drug and the impotence drug all at once. It was precisely because I needed to find these drugs that I delayed going out for so long, giving them the chance to catch us in the act. I was worried the drugs wouldn't work well back then, but now I am finally relieved. I pouted. Sister, you are slandering me like this? I don't know what to say. Ninglan lunged at me like a madwoman, her expression crazed. Zhang Ningshui, you'll get your retribution. I had no grudge against you. Why did you harm me so cruelly? I immediately dodged aside, watching her fall pathetically to the ground. Although she and the Marquis of Genbei could no longer be a loving couple in this life, the Marquis still stayed away from women just like in the previous life. Thinking about it this way, she hadn't really lost anything. Jiang Shui, I won't let you get away with this. Ninglan left after throwing down those harsh words. Within a few days, rumors started spreading in the capital that the legitimate daughter of the Zhang family had been secretly involved with someone, and even caused her lover's death. Just then, Song Yurong's remains were found, and everyone suspected I was the one who killed him. They guessed right, but too bad, there is no evidence. When Song Yurong came to see me, he avoided others. When he left, I had someone search his room. Our correspondence had long been destroyed. No one could prove I was the last person he saw. There was no evidence whatsoever to prove that I killed him. After the people from the capital prefecture asked a couple of questions, the case was closed. Song Yurong had accidentally fallen off a cliff himself. Mother finally saw me. There was hatred and reluctance in her eyes. Ning Shui, things have come to this, and the rest of your life is already ruined. Was it worth it? I said with a smile. Mother, do you want to hear a story? Decades of living as a wandering ghost had long driven me mad. No matter how bad things got now, they couldn't get much worse. Jiang Ruozhu snapped out of his depression, ready to find a girl of lower status to marry, have a son and raise the next generation, only to discover he had become crippled. Because of this, the Zhang family could no longer tolerate me. The day I left the Zhang family, only Mother came to see me off. I gave her one last hug, then left without looking back. She would grieve, then slowly forget me, just as in my previous life. Xuntao asked me, Miss, where are we going? I brought her into a Taoist temple, one I bought with the secret savings I'd accumulated from selling doujinshi. From now on, call me Taoist master. You are my chief disciple. Qingfeng Temple was small and rundown, which was why I could afford it. That night, Xuntao and I hid in the cellar, barely escaping assassination. I knew these killers were sent by the Marquis of Genbei. He hated me for drugging him and turning him into a eunuch. When I was at the Zhang family, he couldn't make a move, but now he'd finally found his chance. Xuntao trembled. Miss, let's run away quickly, as far as we can. I patted her head, no rush. The next day, I finally got to meet the person I'd been waiting for, Lord Zhang from the Imperial Astronomical Bureau. Miss Zhang, is what you said true? A few days ago, I'd sent him a letter saying the dam in Huayan County would burst at the end of this month, causing countless casualties. At first, Lord Zhang didn't believe me. It wasn't until yesterday, when news reached the capital that Huayan County had been hit by half a month of continuous heavy rain, that Lord Zhang finally took it seriously. In my previous life as a wandering ghost, I'd heard about these major events. Huayan County strewn with corpses, I remembered it clearly. I firmly told him, "It is absolutely true. If I am lying, I am willing to accept any punishment. My only request is that Lord Zhang must find a way to protect me." Lord Zhang pondered for a moment, then nodded. At the end of the month, the dam in Huayan County burst just as I had predicted. Because the people had been evacuated in advance, casualties were minimal. The emperor rewarded me and bestowed upon me a title, Taoist Master Shande. Qingfeng Temple became a renowned Taoist temple far and wide, renovated to be grand and imposing. And my life was also secured. Inside the imperial palace, I issued my second prophecy to the emperor. Next year in May, Dongzhou will suffer a great drought, with barren land stretching for thousands of miles. One prophecy after another was issued, and no one in the capital dared to look down on me anymore. When Xuntao told me that commoners had set up longevity tablets to worship me, my heart stirred, and the gloom of my past and present lives gradually dissipated. On that day, the sky was clear, radiant light shining for miles' side story. The former Marquis of Zhenbei, Xiao Yu, had long been stripped of his title under Zhang Ningshui's suppression, and the Marquis mansion became the Xiao residence. To cover up the fact that he had become a cripple, Xiao Yu publicly proclaimed that he and Jiang Ninglin were deeply in love as husband and wife, and he would take no other woman in this lifetime. Even though Jiang Ninglin had borne no children in 3 years, Xiao Yu didn't mind at all. The ladies in the capital all envied Jiang Ninglin for her good fortune. "Madam Xiao, I heard Lord Xiao dismissed all his concubines, and only keeps you alone. He really is a 1 in a million good man." Jiang Ninglin smiled stiffly. What could she say? Could she say that although there were no concubines at home, he kept a bunch of male lovers? He treats you so well. You should be content. At least give him an heir. I have a secret recipe for having children here. Take it back and try it, guaranteed to work. Hearing such nagging about having children again, Jiang Ninglin fled in a panic. Returning to the Xiao manor, she was greeted by the slovenly Xiao Yu. "Yo, back so early, why didn't you stay longer to bask in everyone's flattery?" Jiang Ninglin looked at the man in front of her who was mocking her with cold sarcasm, her heart turning cold. She clearly did nothing wrong. So why had things come to this? Thinking of all the years she had swallowed her pride, she finally couldn't hold back and yelled, "I don't even look down on you for being a cripple. Why do you still keep pushing me so hard?" Xiao Yu sneered. "What right do you have to look down on me? If you hadn't kept showing off how wronged you were in front of me every time, why would I have schemed against Jiang Ningshui and been crippled by her? This is all because of you." Jiang Ninglin's face turned pale. "I never asked you to do any of that." "Jiang Ninglin, what are you still pretending for? If you didn't want me to do it, then why did you tell me about your own sister's private matters? Admit it. Back when you found out I schemed against Jiang Ningshui for you, you were quite happy, weren't you?" Jiang Ninglin couldn't say anything to refute him, because what he said was true. The two hated each other, yet could only continue to be entangled like this. The once lively Zhang Manor no longer had any trace of laughter and joy. The old madam had become truly alone and isolated, while Zhang Ruozhu drowned his sorrows in alcohol every day. And the most clear-headed one was Madame Zhang. No, Jiang Ningshui had become a Taoist master favored by the emperor, having saved countless people. After she sent things to Madame Zhang a few times, the Zhang family understood her intentions. No one in the Zhang family dared to look down on her. Everyone hoped to mend relations with Jiang Ningshui through her, so the Zhang family could return to how it used to be. But Madame Zhang just sat quietly in the Buddhist hall. She had married into the Jiang family for so many years, bore children, supported her husband, and raised the kids. Yet now her children were at each other's throats, and the family was no longer a family. It wasn't until her daughter told her a story that she understood. Past life's causes lead to this life's consequences. Why force it? Later, Jiang Ningshui sent her a letter. "Mother, the spring waters of Zhangyan are green. Would you like to come along?" Madame Zhang finally found peace, and with tears in her eyes asked the nanny to pack her luggage. Past 40 years of age, she finally got to see the spring light. Fortunately, the spring light remained as beautiful as ever.